I'm gonna have you introduce yourself to the people.
Gotcha. So, what's up, everybody? My name is Coach Khalid Campbell, Mississippi Valley State. I know you got it switched up, but Mississippi Valley State University here in Itta Bena, Mississippi. Um, right here, it's probably maybe 3 hours, 2 hours from Louisiana. I know you from around there.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I'm from
Baton
Greenwood,
Rouge.
Mississippi, Baton Rouge. Yeah, so it's about 2.5, 3 hours away. So I'm from Greenwood, Mississippi. It's pretty much an 8-minute drive down the highway here from Mississippi Valley State University. I grew up there. I was born there. As you can see in the background, another HBCU SWAC logo. It's UAPB, the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Actually graduated from there. Played
Okay.
basketball there. I was there from 2016, 2020. So ended up
All right.
graduating from there
Yeah,
then. So
yeah, yeah. That's official. Yeah, and then you kind of like just stay with it
hmm
into the coaching side.
yeah.
Well, I do have one question to start off. Have
Mhm.
anybody ever told you you kind of look like Lupe Fiasco?
I get Lupe, I get Russell Westbrook. I had a teammate in college. He kept calling me Bryson Tiller, Chance the Rapper. So I get all of it. So
All right. I just want to make sure I wasn't the only one that noticed. All right, you could tell me kind of how you got like into coaching, how for the team.
okay, so pretty much in college, I was at UAPB. So Coach Ivory, who was the head coach there, and previously the head coach at UAPB before I got there, you know, he was my coach. So once I got there, I played, a couple seasons. Ended up playing like maybe 3 out of the 4. But during my tenure there, I was diagnosed with a thing called POTS. It's POTS. Another scientific name for it is neurocardiogenic syncope. So POTS is basically a condition where it affects your your blood pressure, your heart rate, things like
Right.
that. So if anybody that pays attention to like the NBA, that's something that Kristaps Porzingis deals with right now. And that was a thing that kind of had him sitting out. When he got to the Warriors. So I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to deal with it and how to get better from it. So that's kind of what prompted me into getting into coaching because I kind of figured like there's a lot of work trying to understand what's going on with my body. So, I might as well get into something, lucrative and something that I enjoy, something that I, actually can, do for the rest of my life, because I love people. I love the sports.
Right.
So
And
as
giving
I
back to
was,
that local community.
yep, as I was, graduating, I kind of went off into like training my teammates. I got into graphic design. That was like my little side hustle. I was doing photography. I was helping out with like scouting and film. And things like that. So I would always see myself kind of coaching, drawing up plays. Training. Player development and all of that. So once I graduated, I ended up getting a summer gig with a school called Harding. They had like a summer camp going on. I ended up just going online, finding something to do for the summer. I filled out the stuff. I went over there. They had like a summer camp going on, and shout out to Coach Woods and Coach Morgan over there at Harding. I ended up going over there like maybe the day after it got posted, and I coached some kids. We did some training, like typical training camp stuff, like during the summer. And they
Right.
gifted me the opportunity of coming back during the fall semester because they saw how energetic I was and how much of an impact that I was doing there. So I accepted it. I ended up going to Harding during the fall. I stayed there for about up until like the end of the season. Ended up getting another thing with Renee Montgomery and her production company. She's currently one of the presidents at the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team.
Right.
So she's a great person. They have a great thing going on over there. And so I was kind of in Atlanta for a little bit, kind of doing my own thing, kind of on my own journey. Did that for about a month. Then I left, got a junior college deal. Ironically, it's the opposite way um, the opposite way down the road from Valley. It's called Mississippi Delta Community College. So it's like a 12-minute drive. So I
Okay.
started off coaching women's junior college basketball. I did that for about a year and a half. Then ended up coming over to Valley right after that. So Coach Ivory was here. We had that relationship, and the rest is history. So I ended up coming in. This will be my third season. So kind of just been learning and getting better every year, getting better every day. So kind of where I
Well,
am right
now,
now.
what do people call it on the campus there? You just refer to the university as Valley?
Now they just call it, on the yard or whatever they call it. They just call it Valley. So
Yeah, Valley.
I know they have a bunch of things. The main thing Mississippi Valley State. I know they say V State and Valley, but the most that I hear is they just say Valley. So.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So, that's the school is located in Ida Bean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. How's that area? How's that location for the school? And with that being like the big spot for everybody to go, how is it there?
So pretty much, the area is it's a small town. You don't really get a lot of the glamour and the city life. All the late night and
Mm.
glitz and fast speed. It's kind of chill, laid back. Kind of if you ever went back home to your grandma's and stuff like that. Other side is kind of slow
Right.
life. But the kids still have fun. It's college, so there's a bunch of things to
Yeah.
do. We have nearby cities, other towns, um, and to be honest, I think that's really what kind of helps because a lot of parents they don't really you know sometimes they kind of get weary, if it's an area like that with
Hmm.
a bunch of things to do, because there's so many distractions. Kids can just get into so many things. So, here is, real, it's kind of slow. It's family oriented. Got to, everybody has good relationships. So it's
Yeah,
cool.
good community where everybody know each other.
Yep.
It's all love, like, really, really, really good family vibes. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what you're giving off that you guys have there at the Valley.
Yep.
Yeah. So you got that little triangle with the Valley, Alcorn, I think it's Jackson, like
Jackson State. Yeah.
Jackson State, all of y'all right there, like 2 hours or 3 hours close to
Mm-hmm.
each other. How does that affect like high school recruiting or stuff like that? Where you guys local schools and stuff like that. You got
Mm-hmm.
kind of like versus each other, basically. What the kids want to go here or here or here. Like I know that kind of like gets affected to you by your recruiting, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, in a sense, I know it's definitely different. At the Division 1 level, I know when I was in junior college, it was definitely hard.
Right.
Because junior college you only have freshmen and sophomores, so you're really just trying to get the best seniors, in high
Hmm.
school, and it's a lot of Mississippi junior colleges, a lot
Right.
of them. And everybody is trying to get the best people and stuff like that, and the best athletes. But at the Division 1 level, it's a lot of high schools in Mississippi. A lot of hidden gems. Diamonds in the rough as they call them. So we have a lot of opportunity to check a lot of different schools out. A
Hmm.
good thing recently, they started hosting high school playoffs here. So we get to
Okay.
watch like 2 or 3 days worth of playoff games.
Right
If
on
not,
campus.
yeah, right on campus. So if not, then we usually go to some games, around the area, throughout the season. But with the strict, and busy schedule that most SWAC schools and HBCUs have, we're constantly on the road, during the preseason. So, when we can catch a high school game, it's very important for us to get out there, catch some of the talent. So it's kind of hard, but it has its ups and downs.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I know like for Southern and stuff like that, you go around to the local high school and then sometimes even during the season before on the off season, like your gym be taken out taken up by somebody else and you have to go to a local school hoop
Hmm.
practice or something like that. So you just find ways, to just make it work.
Yeah, yeah. You always got to find a way to make it work for sure.
Well, what Mr. Ivory's like? Like, is he chill? He seemed like to be like your mentor and stuff like that. You just let me know like he cool
Coach
guy.
Ivory, he's a great person. He's he definitely he's somebody that loves what he's doing. He loves basketball.
Hmm.
He loves the game. He loves people. He's definitely funny. He's one of those coaches, like every day is something, you don't know what to expect, but it's in a good way though. He's like, man, he come in, he be like, man, Coach Ivory there, he kind of like brighten up your day, because it's
Hmm.
a lot of times, where people having down days, but he just kind of wants you just to forget about all the bad stuff. He wants you to just worry about, school and basketball, enjoy life, enjoy the sport while you're out here, because he always saying, you never know when your last day of playing college basketball is.
Right.
You want to take this opportunity because it can change the rest of your life. So he's always there for the staff, for the players. He just wants the best out of the team, out of the staff, out of the university. Because actually, he's an alumni of Valley.
Right.
He was on one of the first championship teams here. They won. And then they went off and played Duke in the first round of the
Hmm.
NCAA tournament, lost by 7. So that was like one of the most kind of historical things that have ever happened. At
Right.
the HBCU. Even though they lost, it's the fight that they had. Only losing by 7.
Seven. That's like
He and they,
almost
they
pulling that
almost
upset off.
won. Yeah, they lost a couple of their big guys. Back then, most bigger schools were stacked. So he's trying to, um, bring back the legacy and just everything that's good about Valley and kind of
Yeah, he's trying to bring it back to the camp.
yeah. So especially something he loves it. So that's the main thing. So.
Right. I'll be watching you guys play your games on the SWAC network, and
Hmm.
he be getting fits off. He
Oh
be having
yeah,
a tie.
yeah. So he definitely can dress. He can dress. I look. I know sometimes, back then, when all the colleges was wearing suits and stuff like that, I used to try to, kind
Right.
of sneak in a little, maybe some socks or a different type of
Right.
tie, which
Right.
sometimes y'all have to be, in order. But yeah, he can definitely dress, and that's probably a shout out to his coach from back in the day. His name is Lafayette Stribling. That's the court here that we play at. That's who's
Okay.
name's after. Yeah, his name is
Okay.
named after Lafayette Stribling, his coach. So if you ever I don't know if he has other pictures online, but Coach Stribling, he can
He get
definitely
fits
dress.
off.
Yeah, he used to get him off. So he's pretty much a legend, out here and in the Jackson area. He passed some years ago, but
Okay.
he was like a coach. Like he came in and he turned heads. They were saying that he came in, all green suits, all yellow suits, all
That's
blue
how you supposed
suits.
to do it.
Yeah, so yeah.
So, tell me more about your entrepreneur side. You say you used to do you're in graphic design. Are you the
Hmm.
head social media manager for the team or
Pretty much I am. So that kind of started in college. Going back to the story, of my condition that I got diagnosed with, that kind of limit my plan. So at that point, I was like, man, I got to find a way to stay around the sport and make myself useful. So I was already kind of a hustler anyway. I was playing college basketball. You know, um, I was trying to just do things that I like. So I got into graphic design. I got into photography. Um, I'm a tech guy, so like I was fixing phones and stuff like that. And then I had already knew how to cut hair, so I was cutting hair. So I was doing all of these things. So as I got the jobs that I had, that kind of just stayed with me. So I was doing social media for the team, controlling and managing everything in that phase. And I know most schools have photographers, but if they needed me in any capacity, I kind of tried to
right?
help out in that way. But I kind of like limited myself in some way because I still wanted to focus more on like the X's and O's and the coaching and the player development side. But just being able to do that was always a plus because
Hmm.
sometimes most schools have limited access to things, and so just me
Right.
being a person that knew about this, it was very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I wanted to say, for a lot of coaches, especially in the SWAC, a lot of people, you got to try to get and connect with the kids, and a lot of they don't be on social media. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's
for
and
a
that's a
lot of
big
coaches,
thing now. Yeah.
yeah. But especially in recruiting, because I was talking to I don't know if you know about Nichols down here in
Hmm.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the assistant coaches. He was like, if you want to, you know, make it, and you got to really be. The times have changed. You got to like connect with the kids. You got to know how to recruit them because that's all the coaches they're looking for. Just how can you get a player to come to the school,
Yep. Yep.
basically.
You
And
gotta
I
be
think
able. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
no, no, I was thinking like I was just wanted to give you props and show you
Hmm.
love because you like one of the people that I saw online and social media that's like really trying to, you follow a lot of people, you connect with a lot of the, recruiting. I watch your videos, you be out and you be driving to the places, going to look at the schools and
Yeah.
so I just wanted to shout you out for that because you doing a lot of stuff that I'm not seeing that's, a lot of people, other people are doing.
Yeah. Oh man, I appreciate you, man. It's definitely it's some work. It's a lot of work that goes into it, but just like in the sport, if you love it and you have a passion for it, it's gonna be some sacrifices,
Hmm.
a lot of days, I
Absolutely.
I hear it a lot, and plus I'm young, so I'm probably one of the youngest people in this department, and I'm the youngest
Hmm.
person on the staff, so a lot of people expect me to, still, behave, like a young person, like, go out and, have fun and, do a lot of other
Hmm.
things. But I've been in the
But you be
headspace.
hustling.
Yeah, I've been in the headspace for so long, man. I have to work,
Right.
just gotta, just sacrifice my time, sometimes sleep. I just gotta get the job done, because at the end of the day, you know, as coaches, you're graded on, sometimes the wins and the losses, but the recruiting is a big thing. So um
Hmm.
just being able to connect to other players, coaches, teams, build relationships, that's like one of the most important things that you
Most
can do.
important things.
Yep.
Especially with everybody like almost hitting the transport for. I know we was talking about that at SU. Like almost every year we had to like go back in the transfer portal because everybody be just throwing themselves in there. We got to just go get
Yeah.
players again.
Hmm. Yep, and that's the thing too, man. With the transfer portal and all the different changes and things like that, um, you know, being able to have a relationship and build those bonds is, very, very important. But it's so different now because you always have to think in the back of your mind, like, like what if. But most times if you have a great relationship, you can, help the kids out in other areas, and kind of, just be able to give
Build the
them things
bond.
in a sense, yeah, like with the bond that you have, the resources and things like that, you kind
Hmm.
of don't have to worry about the transfer portal, but in this day and age you got to always be prepared. So
Absolutely. Yeah. You can so with the graphic design, the sports marketing, the coaching, what's next for Mr. Campbell, Coach Campbell?
pretty much like what I'm doing now. I'm soon as the last game that we had in the playoffs, been back, you know paperwork, recruiting, finding more guys, um, just trying to eye out people that, can fit some of the areas that we kind of maybe missed out or lacked in. People that, my head coach, is seeing that he likes. So I've been in the office pretty much, every day. I know I get a lot of people that tell me like, hey man, you might just, you might not have to think about basketball for the day, but I mean, I can't because, I got,
Yeah, you can't.
know, jobs on the line, life's on the line, my future's on the line. So I can't really,
Right.
I can get some rest, but I can't take time off. You know what I'm saying? So because I got to do my job, so I can make my head coach's job, a little bit easier. Then
Leave it easy.
if his job easy or less stressful, then my job's less stressful. Then the players, their experience is, great. So I just been doing that. Hopefully in some years after this, I'll definitely see myself, you know, on a higher level, possibly, head coach somewhere. I
Mhm.
always had a dream of either making into the NBA, WNBA coaching staff, being somewhere in that capacity, or just being in a position where like you know I can make an impact for more athletes. You know.
Right, right, and definitely, and how we started off with you bringing up the pots and everything like that. Like you
Hmm.
definitely like an advocate, like, and you just came out straightforward with it. Like you wanted to get that word out, like to other people, because I
Yeah.
didn't know about it like a lot,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they had a lot of information when you were diagnosed with it, and
No,
that's like different. Okay,
they didn't. So I started off real quick. I started off going to children's hospitals in Arkansas because
okay,
I was at UAPB. And it kind of started right after I graduated high school. So I was bouncing back and forth. They were trying to understand, like what's going on. So I was taking different tests. I was wearing monitors, head monitors, chest monitors, full body, things. So, they never kind of understood. So I just took it upon myself to kind of make myself my own guinea pig. So I was,
hmm,
I would do certain things one day, journal it, write it down like, okay, no, okay, this is what's making this happen. So the next day I'll try to switch it up and do something different. So it didn't happen overnight. I took it took a long time for it to kind of diminish. I did a lot of
hmm,
things with kind of changing my lifestyle, my diet, things that I did. So I can say as of right now, I don't experience it, a lot,
right,
pretty much at all. It's some things that I could do that'll make it happen, but if I don't do that, then I'm good. So as I've been learning, I just been kind of trying to advocate for it. Tell people, especially athletes, to kind of get looked at, in that way,
okay, yeah,
because
absolutely,
it started off with me. I definitely thought I was in shape, but I would just get really tired fast. I would get like lightheaded some days. I
and
just,
that's one of the symptoms, right?
mm-hmm, yep,
Hmm.
kind of, fatigue, lightheadedness, little brain fogs and things like that. Sweating a lot. I was experiencing that. Kind of like when you're changing positions or in different parts of the earth where the elevation is different. You kind of have, they call it episodes where you kind of like stumble or kind of fall. So I was experiencing that. So it's kind of been, it's difficult, especially when you coaching and you kind of
Right.
amped up all the time and you sitting up, you standing down, and you moving, and you anxiety and you stress. So it's hard. But I find a way through it. I'm always staying hydrated. I'm snacking. I'm taking my little short breaks. I got my eyes. I just had to be upfront and honest. I tell my staff and my players, and they'll come like, "Hey, coach, you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Right.
So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
much it.
Yeah, man. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm, you know, rooting for the whole valley now, bro. You even got a fan in me.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you for the taking the time out with me. We got to discuss and go over a lot. Uh, Definitely, Mr. Campbell. I don't know if you want to give anybody shout out to just tell people where to
Hmm.
from where your social media is.
Oh yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's at Cal Camp. So it's the at symbol is KHALCAMP. And that's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. You can just search my name, Khalid Campbell. I'm on LinkedIn, and everything like that. But I'm more visible on Twitter and Instagram. Shout out to you, for, just for giving me the opportunity, because I know sometimes, not only myself, but there's a lot of other coaches that's doing, a lot of great work. And sometimes they might not think they kind of get a thanks, or they might not get, seen. So just want to shout out you for giving me the opportunity again, and just any other coach that's out there that might feel like you're doing a lot of work and it's going unseen. It's not going unseen. You got a lot of people that appreciate you, your friends, your family, the faculty, the
Absolutely.
staff, the athletes. Shout out to my mom, my family, God, because I wouldn't be here, if it wasn't for any of those people. So that's pretty much what I got right now. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And for everybody that's watching out there, you know, just wanted to let you know that I watch the games on the SWAC, and you can too. It's the SWAC network. All the games be shown on there.
Yep.
After the games is over, you can go back and watch the replay. And
Yep.
just if you guys wanted to get more into SWAC
Mhm.
basketball or the Valley, you can go watch their games right now. It's all the
Yeah,
games
it's
from
all.
this past season up there.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. Um, so I'm gonna end off with just kind of recapping the season in a sense and leave people with a quote. So I know a lot of people look at HBCUs and look down on them, but HBCUs, they allow athletes to grow in a sense, and people to grow. You learn a lot. Um, you might look at other schools and be like, nah, man, nah. You can get a lot done in your career at a HBCU. You can elevate yourself to in a way that you never thought was possible. I know people might look at us and look down on us, but it's all right now, because we're growing, we're moving up. Um, we definitely had a great season this year. I know the numbers might have not captivated everything, but we had a great team, we had a great staff. The players were great. Just the situation that we dealt with, sometimes with injuries, having
Hmm.
some of our better players not being able to be out there on the court. So we kind of spent most of the season playing with, like between 6 to 7, 8 players sometimes.
Right, right.
We had finally got to a point where like we got healthy, we got everybody back. We started playing our best basketball and some really great basketball like the last 3 or 4 games of the season. And then we got to the playoffs. It kind of didn't go out the way we panned out for it to be. But the players were great, man. We fought every game. Most of our games were decided, 10 points or less, and that was only with like 7 or 6 players being played. But that's history right now. We just got to move on and learn. But the quote that I want to leave everybody with, your worst day is not your last day. You got many days ahead. Just be the best person you can be every day. It's not the end of the world. And when you think you got it hard, somebody else got it even harder. So you got to get the job done.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And for the hoops coach and Mr. Campbell, huh? We out.
All right, now appreciate you.